It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to Musical Lyrical Lingo. We're your hosts, Tim
and LJ. Today and every week we will be discussing musicals and specifically what they taught us.
Lauren, I'm delighted. I have just given Honey the dog a demand to go back to bed and she actually listened to me. She's the only person in life that listens to me.
Well, you demand
the dog. Honey, bed. Oh, I needn't say it too loud or she'll get out of bed. It could be a disaster.
Actually hilarious.
It was funny, wasn't it?
It's like you'd done, some sort of training with her.
Dog training, yeah. Never work with kids and animals, that's what they said. As we know from our Annie episode, I've worked with both.
You've worked with both.
Imagine, though, doing a musical where an animal or like a dog is involved every day. Like, that must be...
I know, like, in... What's that one with loads of musicals? Dr. Dolittle? Is there loads of musicals in it?
You mean animals, not musicals? Is there loads of musicals in the musical?
Yes.
Somebody's sleepy.
Are there loads of animals in that musical?
I have never seen Dr. Dolittle. The great soundtrack, or great cast recording. I think a lot of the animals are like made up animals, so I think it's a lot of puppetry maybe. I don't think it's actual real animals. But the likes of Legally Blonde, where you've got like the Bruiser, the dog to deal with every day, like it just adds a varying degree of uncertainty, doesn't it? Depending on what type of day the dog's having. Because
I suppose in film you can stop and start really easily. Well, so it's not really easy, but you can, if the animal's not up for it, or you've got little tricks, but on stage, like, that animal has to be on spot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's interesting.
I noticed, though, in the new production of Wizard of Oz that's going on at the minute, Toto is a puppet.
Yes. I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, I'm not going to discuss it because I feel like Wizard of Oz is turning into an Ally and an Oliver.
We need to maybe do a Wizard of Oz because you adore Wizard of Oz. It's right up there with one of your favourites, isn't it, really? And we haven't actually discussed it on the podcast yet. Maybe we need to do that soon.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how it's going to go. Maybe we should wait a wee while and maybe see what comes of this UK tour, and then we might have more to talk about.
Because there's only like another month or so left in the Palladium, isn't there?
Yeah,
and
but then it's doing
it,
and I think it's coming everywhere.
Is it coming to Belfast?
I don't know. I have no idea, but hopefully, fingers crossed. But I mean, it's quite extensive.
Yeah.
So, maybe we should leave that one for a wee while and then wait.
Let's do that.
You mentioned animals in TV and film. A bit of a tangent here, but I've had my first ever TV choreography credit.
Shut up.
I know, how exciting.
Tell us all.
It was, my friend Jennifer and I did a bit of choreography work on World on Fire, the BBC war drama thing, Series 2. I know, how cool.
That's fab.
Yeah, I feel like a bit of an imposter.
No, definitely not. You're well worth.
But it was quite exciting to see your wee name on the credits at the end. Yeah.
Oh, that's fab.
I think the stuff we were involved in are in episode 1, 3 and 5.
So, not just the tiniest bit.
Well, I mean, tiny wee snippets, but
But still.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, got a few wee days of filming. It was last summer as well. It's so long ago, and it's only hit the screens now. But yeah, no. But just when you mentioned TV and film, I was like, should I tell her?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't like to blow my own
No,
trumpet,
you don't, but we all like doing it for you.
But yeah, no, that was kind of cool.
Fab.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Jennifer.
Yes,
Jenny.
great girl.
Yeah.
Great girl.
So talented
very
too.
Talented, yeah. Indeed.
So talented.
So, yeah, any crack with you?
No, absolutely not.
No.
Son still has not made an appearance.
No.
What's the crack?
Although your husband is out weeding the back garden in the rain.
No.
That's commitment to the cause, isn't it?
Only because he was meant to do that about 3 weeks ago.
Right, okay.
So
I think we should move on quickly because when he listens to this back, there could be...
No, because he'll just go, that's fair.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, he's a very good understanding fella, isn't he?
He is. I can't complain very much. Like, I will, but no.
Yeah, actually, we all love a wee complaint every so often, don't we?
I know, we do love a complaint. I mean, you and me personally, would not be ourselves if we were not complaining about something. No, that's not true. We are not massive complainers. We're just not people that are going to say something's nice if it's not nice, or say something's great if it's not. Like, we're very truthful.
Yeah.
Some people think it's harsh, but I think it's just honesty's better.
Honesty is the best policy, is what I would say. But it's never in a hurtful way. If I think it's at all hurtful or will be upsetting, I kind of just bite my tongue.
Yeah.
But if somebody's being an idiot, I'll kind of say, like, you're being an idiot, could you stop doing that?
And we would never say, like, something was good or we enjoyed something if we didn't actually.
No, you just disappear. You get offside pretty damn quick, so nobody can ask you about it.
Mm-hmm. And I would rather people were like that with me, so I'm just like that with people.
No, I agree, 100%.
And also we don't have very good, like, covering our faces, so usually you can tell by our faces.
Oh, it's awful. Have I mentioned this in the podcast before? My face is atrocious. Like, atrocious. Like, it is for the world to see what I am thinking. Yeah. So, and it's been, like, people have passed comment about it in the past. Yeah, like, oh my goodness, your face in that row. Especially when it comes to in the rehearsal process where everything's been set and not, like, literally... the creative team will sit at a table at the front of the room, and then we just run the show, and like it's probably the most critical, not critical, like it's the period where most critique is going to come out. Do you know what I mean? Because that's our job. At this stage, we've said everything's done. Now we just need to make it the best we can. And we do that through critique. What's not right, what's not working.
And it's all constructive.
One always is, always
like, it's
is.
Not just,
and I'm never hurt. Like, I don't think I've ever been hurtful. And certainly if I communicated things poorly at the very beginning when I was very young and inexperienced, I think I've definitely learnt those lessons now, so that I can communicate things in a way that isn't gonna, it's a critique. It's not being horrible, or not that I'm ever horrible, but apparently my face is a picture in some run-throughs. Like, they're like, oh, we know how you felt about that because your face told us it all. And I'm like, really? Yeah. And the worst thing is auditions. Like, I sit in auditions with my hand over my mouth just so that nobody can read my facial expression. Because I also am one of those people, and in addition, I like to look at the person and watch the person, because I know some people in auditions, like on the panel, like are scribbling in their notebook, like scribbling notes down, but they're not watching the performance. And you know what I mean? They're not watching the performer. So I always like to watch the person, but it just means I need to cover my mouth sometimes, because not every audition's going to be brilliant, Lauren.
No.
But my face doesn't hide any sins. Like, it's all there for everyone to see, and you're the same.
I'm exactly the same. Yeah, exactly the same. I just can't help it, and I have a really, like, stern looking face anyway. Like, it's a resting bitch face. Like,
apparently I have one of those too, but I didn't realise it.
And I don't ever mean to be mean or horrible or anything like that. It's just how my face sits naturally. Yeah. But I then think whenever I praise somebody or whenever I say something's good or I'm happy, that people then should be more genuine about my reaction. Like, people should be like ecstatic. Yeah. Because I don't know.
She's giving us a smile.
I know. I just can't help it. Yeah. There's many a times where Aaron will have said, change your face. Yeah. Like, change your face. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realise I was doing anything, but it is so bad. Yeah.
Where does that come from? Like, why are we like this?
I don't know. Because I think I don't know. I was going to say, I think we were kind of like brought up to always like tell the truth, but not that other people aren't telling the truth. I just think it's harder for us to lie.
Maybe. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Anyway. Well, tick, tick, boom. This episode's flying by. See what I did there?
You are just the king of doing
Segways?
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that what that was?
Well, it's a segue,
or
yeah, like kind of. I was going to say like a connection or link.
Yeah,
but
link.
segue probably is like.
Is it like a link, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. That's a link. You explain the link. Now, I've thrown the link out there. You
right now I have
pick
to
it
do
up
all the
and
hard
carry
work.
it. Yes, Lauren.
Okay.
What are we doing today?
So we're going to talk about Tick Tick Boom. So if you were with us last week and we discussed Rent,
which I hope you were with us last week and you did listen to Rent.
then this is the musical that came before Rent, and it is by Jonathan Larson.
Larson.
Thank you. Said it wrong. See, I just can't say words.
I mean, this is the second episode we're talking about the man. You know, you would think.
Can't say them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously Jonathan Larson, anybody who decided to skip episode 19 and went straight to episode 20, Jonathan Larson wrote Rent, composed it, but sadly never saw it on stage because he tragically died the night before the first preview.
That's right. That's right. So Tick Tick Boom tells the story of an aspiring composer who is named John, who lives in New York City in the 1990s, and he is worried that the arts is the wrong career choice. So it's semi-autobiography.
Autobiographical.
I mean, it's episode 20. If I started to say words properly, you would be thinking that I was like putting on a real fake
I think we're getting worse rather than better though, Lauren, to be honest with you.
It's the way I write it down, like...
Yeah.
Because I need some notes because I can't remember stuff.
Yeah.
And then I can't read what I've written.
I listen, I'm still delighted that I'm remembering the opening script. The opening line, so I'm delighted.
That's enough. That's all we're remembering.
That's it, job done.
But after his death, which we know happened in 1996, Tick Tick Boom was revised and revamped by David Auburn in 2001, and then very recently there, Lin-Manuel Miranda, who was heavily influenced by Jonathan and Rent, but just anything that he sort of created. It was his directorial debut.
Yep, that's right.
And it was in 2021, and that was for Netflix. It's still on Netflix, so you can go and watch it, guys.
Which I did before this episode.
Yeah, and Andrew Garfield plays Jonathan. Yeah. He was nominated for a Golden Globe, and I think he won the Golden Globe for it.
Yeah.
Oh,
was he nominated for an Academy Award as well?
Yeah, actually, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Tick Tick Boom.
It's brilliant. And when, after Larson's death, and it was revised and revamped by the playwright David Auburn, it was revamped as a 3-actor piece.
Yes, rather than a one person.
Yeah. However, originally when Jonathan Larson wrote it, he performed it himself as almost like a concert piece. Have you seen that on YouTube?
I've seen just the snippets, but no, I haven't seen the full thing.
So I haven't watched the full thing either, but I watched the first 20 minutes of it, and it's really interesting to watch the man that was Jonathan Larson, knowing his story, knowing what happens to him, but also watching him presenting his own work, which doesn't happen very often. Like, you don't get very many composers that'll go, right, okay, I've written this, but I'm gonna perform it to you as like almost like a club piece. It reminds me, it would be perfect in like a pub or a black box kind of situation,
cabaret type setting.
Yeah, it would be so brilliant. Yeah. So it's interesting the journey that this has taken.
Yeah.
I'll be quite honest with you. I didn't know anything about Tick Tick Boom until the film.
Oh, okay. So whenever it came out, then
that it was done by the same guy who did Rent, and let's not forget how much I admire and adore Rent, but I didn't know that it was a thing. Like it was a musical, because it hasn't been performed a huge amount as a theatrical piece.
Yeah.
Which makes it even more a very interesting choice of Lin-Manuel Miranda to do as a film, but it kind of just speaks volumes as to how he felt about Larson. Yeah. No, I again didn't know a huge amount about it, but I knew about how much it had influenced most of Miranda's work. Yeah. Because whenever I was first introduced to Hamilton, I then did my usual, became obsessive. So then I needed to know more about Lin-Manuel Miranda, learnt about In the Heights, learnt about his rap group
Love Supreme, and who influenced him and everything. So I only knew that I think it was in 2003 he might have performed in Tick Tick Boom. Yeah. So I, again, only knew a little bit, but knew that
so
probably
he
more
was
than
one of the three actors that did one of the productions of it. Yeah, really interesting. Am I right in saying that today most of what we talk about will be based on the film adaptation then? Because there's actually very little of the musical out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, even in searching, because it's not really done very much.
No. Yeah.
Oh, that's Honey. Honey, bed. For goodness sake, Honey's let me down.
Well, no.
Here I was thinking I was in command.
But...
Honey, bed. Honey, bed.
She's a real performer. She just heard you. She did it again.
Sit, bed.
Oh my goodness.
Good girl. I got the power.
She just wanted to show that, you weren't talking rubbish.
She was just wanting a wee bit of attention. Yeah. Don't we all?
We do indeed. We do indeed. So yes. We're just probably going to talk about the movie. Probably what we've learned from that.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to say that our podcast is Musical Lyrical Lingo, and we tend to look at the lyrics and what they taught us. If you are just to go and Google the lyrics of Tick Tick Boom, they're a bit weak.
Controversial.
There's a lot of repetitive words. There's a lot of lines, are repeated. There's no real, what does that word mean? But it's whenever you hear the music and the performance together, that's where the magic is created. Yeah. So,
and also, because it's semi-autobiographical, it's like Jonathan Larson talking to you.
Yes.
Although the character's called John, it's Jonathan. It is his story, 100%. He was a composer. He was struggling. It took him a very long time to write Rent, as we talked about in the previous episode. It's his story. Yeah. So when you know his story and you know what happened to him, and also you've come from it via Rent, I just think it embellishes it a bit more compared to if you just came to it as a standalone. Oh, I've come across this music of Tick Tick Boom. Do you know what I think? That's what I.
No, I think that's a fair comment, and I don't mean that it's weak, as in his as a lyricist he was weak, because we certainly know from Rent that wasn't the case, and he did put in the philosophers' names and things like that. I just mean, if you're just to look at the lyrics, you're not really going to learn anything from it. You do need to look at this as a whole picture, the bigger. For me, it's cemented that musical theatre is magic. That it's all of these elements coming together. Yeah. It's the lyrics, it's your band, it's your music, it's your choreographer, it's your actors, it's your lighting, it's your staging. All of that stuff makes a performance piece, which you are then going to come away from having some form of experience, feelings, thoughts, whatever. Yeah. Does that make sense?
The power of musical theatre. Yeah, no, absolutely. And good, a good writing, as in musically, there's his music and this is excellent. Yeah. For me, there were very strong similarities to some of the Rent tunes, I thought.
100%. You can see Rent in Tick Tick Boom. Yeah. And if you know Rent, you will see Rent. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because on first listen, not first listening, because I first came to it when it was made into film, so I hadn't even listened to the soundtrack. Right, okay. When I watched the film for the first time on Netflix, and I was going, oh, that's that Rent song, and that's that Rent song. Do you know what I mean? It very, very similar style, but that was maybe just his style, which makes me wonder if he had lived, what would have become of his work, and how big of his collection would it have been, or it just adds a big extra question mark in it, and a real shame that he didn't get that opportunity.
I know, and I think that is a shame, but I love how real and honest Tick Tick Boom is. Yeah. Because
lived by many in the industry.
That's it, and that isn't a career that we chose because of
that very reason. Yeah.
Because of that struggle.
Yeah.
you know, and I love that. So if you haven't seen it, like, do watch it. It's like an hour and a half or something. It's not like, it's not a really, really long film. It's shot really well.
Yeah,
I have to say.
think so.
Also, it was shot during, I think production started in March and then COVID happened, like at the beginning of March.
Yeah.
And I think, just my personal opinion, is that actually helped it, because I feel it could have been bigger than what the COVID restrictions allowed it to be.
Oh,
so I
interesting.
feel that it is quite small.
That's really that's interesting, because it's small, but there's a lot of people involved, which we might talk about later.
Yeah.
Which makes me go, that was filmed during the COVID-y time. I'm going, wow. Yeah. So the people involved, the fact that some of the people involved were involved during that time makes me go, that's a real achievement of Lin-Manuel. Is there anything that man can't do?
I know.
Though?
I think he is pretty wonderful. And I wonder, I was listening to a few things and people have said, I wonder, will this be his one and only thing that he directs? Like, will it just be, he'll just do that and move on, because this was a real passion project?
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't think so, though.
No, I think he's still got a lot
try and stop Lin-Manuel Miranda and see what happens. Like, I think he's like a juggernaut, which is just starting to take off.
Yeah, he's very, very special, very special.
So, did you learn anything from Tick Tick Boom? Then, do you have any musical lyrical lingo?
I don't have any from the lyrics. I really don't. I have just what the film taught me or what the musical taught me.
Well, I do.
Do you have some lyrics?
So the first number is called 3090.
Yes.
Okay. And it's basically about Jonathan, or I keep saying Jonathan, I should really use the character name, shouldn't it? John's feelings about turning 30. I'm so glad, like, I wish I had heard that song.
Okay.
When I was turning 30. Now, I've turned 30, we turned 30 quite a number of years ago.
But you're 6 months older than me, so you turned...
Oh, you swine. You just had to throw that in there, didn't you? That's why we love each other so much. But when I was turning 30, we'll find out how you felt about turning 30. But when I didn't want to talk about it. I was livid, like totally raging. Didn't want to talk about it. Wasn't to be brought up. Wasn't doing anything. And then you swines surprised me with a big birthday bash, including a birthday cake and a pic collage. Mortified. Like, I was like, I don't want to turn 30. I'm not okay with it. And John in Tick Tick Boom feels exactly the same. Can I just bear with me while I read some of the lyrics and see? This is 100% how I felt. I could be John right now with these lyrics, and it'll be interesting to see if you feel the same. So, 3090. Stop the clock, take time out. Time to regroup before you lose the bout. Amen. Freeze the frame, back it up, time to refocus before they wrap up. Years are getting shorter, lines on your face are getting longer. Feels like you're treading water, but the riptide's getting stronger. Don't panic, don't jump ship, can't fight it like taxes. At least it happens only once in your life until you hit 60. That wasn't in the lyrics, by the way. They're singing happy birthday. You just want to lie down and cry. Not just another birthday. It's 3090. Why can't you stay 29? Hell, you still feel like you're 22. Yeah. Turning 30, 1999. Bang, you're dead. What can you do? What can you do? What can you do? Clear the runway, make another pass, try another approach before you're out of gas. That was me when I was turned 30. That is exactly how I felt.
Isn't that really funny?
Felt like I was in my 20s. Didn't want to turn 30. Awful. Like, it was awful. I hated it.
I didn't mind it. My husband, Aaron was the same.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to do anything, didn't want to discuss it. And... yeah.
So when I heard that, post me turning 30, I was like, where was this tune? This could have been my anthem of that year. I could have been playing it loudspeaker out my car going, I'm not doing it. I'm staying 29. So, yeah, that's what I learned from the lyrics. I was like, I hear you, Jonathan Larson. aka John. That was me.
Great song.
It's a good opener, isn't it?
Yeah, really, really great. I didn't mind turning 30. I don't think I like birthdays. Like, I like my birthday. But yeah.
So do you go out? Do you go out? I can't talk.
Do I go all out?
See, it's the age. It's the age thing. Do you go all out?
No,
for
I
your
don't go
birthdays
all
every
out.
year?
But you don't like really any birthdays. Anytime you sort of mention your birthday, you're like,
no.
It's not really.
100%.
Well, I do. I have this really weird thing. I love my birthday, like, date. I love it. Like, 28's my favourite number. I love that it's in March. I literally feel like I was born on the perfect day.
No. Post 30, I couldn't care less.
Well, this is the other thing I was going to say is I don't really ever remember what age I am, because to me, either. I'm like, age is just a number.
And it's not, it's, what's the word? Not convenience. It's not, I can't remember what I'm saying. See, it's the age thing. But every time I think of my age, I think I'm like a year younger than I actually am. So that's just my mind, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
no, I
constantly want to be younger.
Well, this is environmental. I had 2 lockdown birthdays because of flipping COVID. So I never got to celebrate my birthday, or never really felt like, so I was like, I'm 2 years behind. That's what I say.
Nonsense.
I know it is nonsense, but in my head I'm like, oh yeah, I'm that age. Until somebody asks me what age I am, I'll have to be like, oh, I'm this age.
But you see, I feel I think of myself and I live my life like I'm still 25.
But that's what I mean. Like, why should you have to be like, oh, I'm this age and I feel terrible for it? Like, just live your life being whatever age you think you are.
Yeah. No, I know. Here.
Yeah.
But yes, so 30-90 was exactly how you were feeling. Felt.
Yeah. No, I think that's what the whole musical taught me. It's that angst. Never giving up. Never give up. Hard work pays off, and surround yourself with people who believe in you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the things I learnt was just how amazingly close Jonathan Larson's link was to the absolute legendary composer Stephen Sondheim. Like, it was very clear from the movie, particularly, just how much of an inspiration he was to Larson, and they had a connection. They had a relationship and a link to each other. I know that Jonathan Larson gives a nod to Stephen Sondheim, and he's littered throughout Tick Tick Boom, and he's also mentioned in Rent and La Vie Boheme. He's one of those arty people that he throws into the lyrics and that. So it's clearly, Stephen Sondheim has clearly had such a huge impact on Jonathan Larson, and a huge inspiration to him.
Tick Tick Boom is all about that I need to leave a legacy. Like, Roger is that one song, Glory, one song before I die, and you really feel it. You feel that angst about turning 30, not leaving a legacy and making a mistake in your life choices. So he has worried that the fact that he has chosen to move to New York, become a composer, he has seen the clock ticking, and he's gone, the people that have inspired me, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, were 27, and then he goes, Sondheim was 27 whenever they did West Side, and it's only when Michael says, you're not them.
Yeah.
How many times in our lives are we compared to other people?
Yeah.
How many times whenever you sit, you're in our day, it was the 11 plus, you sit your 11 plus, what school are you going to go to? Then from that, what GCSEs are you picking?
Yeah.
What A levels are you picking? What university are you going to? What job are you going to have? When are you going to get married? When are you going to have children? When are you going to buy a house? When are you going to make something of your life?
Often one.
I just mean that life is like, or you really feel that you're this age. And I think as well, that's how, like, we were talking about this earlier, about like constraints or like old fashioned ways of how you did things in the past no longer apply, because life is so different, and life is different for every single person. And I know that there's this big chat at the minute, I'm going off on one, about how they're saying this new Snow White, and they're talking about
I've not heard this.
Okay, so they're remaking Snow White, like a live action Snow White.
Okay.
And the stars of it are saying, don't worry, she's not like a man doesn't come for her and she doesn't fall in love. And then people are saying there is nothing wrong with that being your ambition. There is nothing wrong with wanting to find a partner and settle down and have kids. Absolutely nothing if that is your dream.
Yeah.
If that's not your dream, then don't reach for the stars for it. But whatever, there's nothing wrong with fighting for what it is you want in life.
Yeah.
And I think we've got too focused on, just because they want to get married and have kids, or they want to own a house, or they want to start a business, or whatever it is, that's what you've got to change everything to make you be really powerful, that there's something wrong with just having a simple life. I don't know. I think I just feel really like whatever your dream is, there's reach for it.
Expectations, is there? So sometimes people live for the expectations upon them rather than just for living.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Rather than what you talked about in Rent, live for the moment or it'll pass you. Mm-hmm. Like, don't worry about so-and-so's got an A in their GCSE or whatever. Yeah. What did you do with your ability at that time?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was happening in your life at the time? Did you work to the best of your ability? Whatever it is. Like, I just think, stop being pressurised into so-and-so did this at this age.
Yeah. That's it.
And I really feel for him, because I really feel like he felt like he had to make something of his life or he wasn't successful. And then whenever you look back...
But I suppose also there's an element of... If you're in that business, then there is a drive within that industry, I suppose. Like, you have to be... It's almost like you have to be successful in order to continue with what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? If you're a composer, unless you compose something that people want to listen to, like, you're only really composing the next thing for yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but
it's a brutal industry. I've like no idea how they do it. People that are in it.
I do remember also. I listened to a few podcasts of like child actors and stuff, and they are saying, they no longer act anymore, but they're involved in producing, directing, and writing. Yeah, and a lot of times people will say, "Oh, what happened? Just not good enough for continuing to act," and they're like, just no longer wanted to act.
Yeah,
it didn't feel me. I wasn't feeled by acting. I'm not a failure because I no longer am in a sitcom. And I'm like, why do we judge other people for what we think? Because what they were doing at 10 years old, they should still be doing at 45.
Yeah.
No?
That seems like a natural progression to me. Like to move from acting into the creative side. Yeah. People are just weirdos in life, though, aren't they? With the it's people who have expectations of other people.
I know, that's what drives me mental.
Bug off, let them be there. Like, you do you and let them do them.
I think so. There's just too much pressure in life, and I really feel that comes through in Tick Tick Boom, and that's where I feel so sorry for him, as in, you just didn't see what your work became.
I know. It's horrendous, isn't it? Because that's it. He is working his whole way through this show or this film to get a hit, to write something that is going to be a success. And he goes through loads, like in Tick Tick Boom, he writes a musical called Suburbia, and it does a workshop, and he's on to his agent going, have you invited people? And she's like, yeah, Dad. And she couldn't care less. And then like the morning after they perform Suburbia at this workshop, he's on the phone to her going, well, is there anybody? And she's like, listen, no.
Yeah.
The phone hasn't rang.
No.
What do I do now?
Yeah.
You start again.
Yeah.
And you write the next one. And you keep writing them, and you write the next one, and the next one, and the next one, until you get something that somebody thinks is good. And I'm like going, like, all the work that composers and writers and script writers must put into their work for it to almost be like pushed off the table into the garbage can, and then for them to be expected to start again to do the next one. Like, it must be horrendous.
I know.
Which is so sad that he then didn't see what happened with Rent.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really nice nod from Lin-Manuel Miranda as well, because in Tick Tick Boom, at the end of it, he doesn't write Rent. Do you know what I mean? But I think Lin-Manuel kind of took both worlds and glued them together so that actually by the end of the show, by the end of the film, he's written Rent.
Yes.
You know, which kind of just gives it that wee art, that circle, that full rounded ending that isn't necessarily in the musical Tick Tick Boom, I suppose. It's nice when he's in the film, when he's in his wee apartment and he does that dum da dum dum, which is like a wee motif in Rent, and I'm like, that's Rent, that's Rent,
but
that's Rent.
Did you see the full connection of that? So he needs to write this. Sondheim has told him at a previous workshop that he's missing a song for his female, what she called. For the female in Suburbia, and then his workshop manager is sort of saying the same thing. So he knows he really needs to write this female song, or the song for this female. So he's finally in his apartment and he's by himself, and you can tell that he's been there for hours. You know, he's just had writer's block, and he starts to write, and it's One Song Glory where he starts, but the phone rings, and he's like shut up. Also in his voicemail, it says "speak," which is also in Rent. Yeah. But that exact same scene happens in Rent when Roger is playing, and then Mark goes.
Oh, the par goes.
The phone rings. So it's in Rent.
And is there like a power,
There's
blackout
also a power
as well in Rent?
Blackout as well. Yes, that happens just after he's sitting at the computer.
Oh my goodness.
And the power goes out, and that happens in Rent. But the actual where he's playing One Song Glory, Roger is trying to play on the piano, and the phone rings, and Mark goes, "The phone rings."
Yeah.
But we hear the phone actually ringing in Tick Tick Boom.
Oh wow.
So there's loads of wee bits like that.
But that's just a director who really knew.
Yeah.
Rent and Jonathan Larson really well. Like,
yeah, I know.
It's class. Stephen Sondheim, Stephen Sondheim's a really famous musical theatre composer, and one of his best songs, I think, in any of his shows is Sunday from Sunday in the Park with George. And Jonathan Larson writes his own version of Sunday in Tick Tick Boom. And in the film, it was sublime because in that sequence, they jam-packed as many famous, notable Broadway stars that they could into that one number. And it was just a who's who of musical theatre. Did you spot that as well?
Oh, I love it.
Who did you spot?
There's Joel Grey.
Joel Grey, who was Cabaret.
Yeah.
And then Wicked and Chicago fame,
I'm terrible with names, as we know, but the three, like, homeless people outside are the three originals from Rent. So Mimi, Roger, and...
Yeah, Adam, Pascal. I can't remember the other two, but Any others?
Bernadette Peters, which is really great in the movie. Lin-Manuel Miranda cements that really well, where they're watching Sunday in a Park with George...
On the TV.
On the TV.
The actual Stephen Sondheim Sunday in the Park with George.
Bernadette Peters, and then it's like in the Moondance diner where he works, and then she's there, so it's a really, I don't
really
like that
class.
doesn't happen in the musical, but in the film you really get that.
You've also got obviously Lin-Manuel Miranda himself.
Yes.
He shoves himself in for a wee cameo. Chef. He also puts his two girls from Hamilton in, so Philippa Shue, who was the original Eliza, and Renee Elise Goldsberry.
Yeah, and she took over from Idina Menzel in Rent.
So she was a Mimi in Rent, but she was also Angelica in Lin-Manuel's Hamilton. You've got Bebe Neuwirth, who was Chorus Line, Addams Family, Chicago. Cheetah Rivera, who is just class. West Side Story, like legend. Like endless, endless names.
I don't know their names. You've got your man from Hadestown.
Yeah, Andre Shields.
Oh, lovely. And then your guy from a musical, which we have yet mentioned in our private time, Ragtime.
Oh, it's one of my favourites too. We'll have to do that sometime. Brian Stokes Mitchell.
Yeah. And just the direction of that. I think he wanted a lot more people in it, but because it was COVID, I can't remember who, somebody turned around and said, I'm not getting Joel Grey sick. I can't have that on my conscience.
Wow.
So yeah, that's why it's limited.
He threw in loads. And then did you notice the cameos of multiple composers?
No.
So in the film, there's a workshop scene where Jonathan Larson is in front of all these musical experts, but they're actually musical experts. Yeah. That. So in there, you've got the composer Mark Shaman, who choreographed in the head. He was composer and lyricist for Hairspray.
Okay.
You've got Alex Lackamore, who was the composer, arranger, and MD behind a lot of Lin-Manuel Miranda's work, including Hamilton, Dear Evan Hansen, and The Greatest Showman. You've got Stephen Schwartz.
Yes, I've seen him.
Of Wicked, Godspell, and Pippin. You've got Jason Robert Brown, who is a well-known composer of The Last 5 Years and 13, the musical. You know,
it's great. I love that one, actually. Yeah.
And then, fast forward towards the end of the show, fast forward to the end of the film. Throughout the film, Stephen Sondheim is played by an actor, but then there's a voicemail that's left on the voicemail message and thing that you were saying earlier, and it's actually Stephen Sondheim who is on the voicemail, who speaks through this voicemail. And
he died just after the premiere.
That's right, he did. That's right.
And it came out November 21, because I'm pretty sure it's the 21. November 21 was when my sister turned 30, so I always remember being like, oh, and she was born in 91, obviously it's set in 1990, but and then West Side was coming out that December. So like there's two musicals which pay a lovely tribute to him, because Sondheim is played, and he's played by a guy that's in The West Wing. And Lin-Manuel Miranda is a massive fan of The West Wing. But he studied Sondheim to make sure he got the mannerisms, because he knew that he's such an inspiration to those in the musical theatre. But
do go and watch the film now. If you're not familiar with musicals, or you're not familiar with Rent or Jonathan Larson, it might take a while to warm up to it, I think, maybe. Yeah. Because I certainly am all of those things that I've just said. But it took me a second. Like, when I rewatched it recently in preparation for this, I got more out of it than I did the first time round. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The first time round, I was going... well, to be honest with you, the first 10-15 minutes, I was like, I don't think I like this. Now, it warmed up towards the end, and in the end, I would say I enjoyed it. When I rewatched it, I was like, no, this is actually a piece of art. This is really, really, really cleverly done. And I had to give more kudos to Lin-Manuel the second time round than I had originally in the first one. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. But that's why I say you've got to see it as a whole piece. I think to just try and pull the lyrics out, or to maybe just listen to the music, it's maybe not going to tell that story, and you're not going to see that angst that he really had, and that I need to leave a legacy.
The irony of the title, Tick Tick Boom, you know, in the premise of the musical, it's that John is running out of time to write this hit musical, but actually in life, Jonathan Larson was running out of time because he died from an
it's like undiagnosed condition that he didn't realise he had.
Like, it's just so sad.
I know, but
the fact it was a semi-autobiographical musical. One of maybe the first. No, I don't know.
Oh, we'd have to look into that.
How many autobiographical musicals can you name? I did a wee list here.
Oh, did you?
See, this is why we don't talk about the episodes beforehand, so I can put Lauren on the spot like this. So, if I was to say autobiographical musicals, can you think of any?
No.
Seriously?
Like, my mind's gone blank.
What about if I was to say The Greatest Showman?
Oh, right, okay.
Do you know? Well, it's not really a musical, is it?
It's PT. Barnum.
So Barnum's a musical.
Oh, okay.
It's quite well. It's a bit older than the majority of the others on my list. So I suppose that it's one. You've got Evita, I suppose, as well. It's kind of autobiographical of Eva.
But did actually not Lloyd Webber not write that?
He wrote it, but it's based on a person's life.
Oh, right, okay, so that, okay, right, okay, I get you now. I was thinking of that the person wrote a musical about themselves.
No, so
I was like, I can't really think of any.
But maybe it's not, maybe autobiographical is the wrong word. Biographical.
Yes, because auto
musicals.
means me.
Okay.
Yes, so just
yeah.
Yes, okay.
Oh, she's got it now, guys.
Yeah, I've got it now, because I was like, I really can't think of any.
Flooding through.
But you know what? It's going to take me too long. Let's just tell the listeners.
Tina Turner, the musical.
Oh, yeah. And then your Cher.
Cher. Bloody. Oh, I just swore.
It's all right.
Bloody awful.
Okay. Yeah,
Went to see it. Worst thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And I love Cher. Like, I love Cher's music.
But you just didn't like that?
Oh, no. Couldn't stand it. It was awful.
Oh, and you've got beautiful Carole King.
And I went on one of our first dates, right? Exploring my interests.
But I wonder,
and I was absolutely mortified by how crap it was, and I was like, I'm really sorry I've brought you to this, because that was truly awful. Not all musical theatres like that, but might I add, like, honestly, the explanation I felt I had to give.
But maybe
it was awful.
Is it because you were like trying
wanted it to be so good?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So maybe if you weren't putting that pressure on yourself. No, but
it was still really shockingly bad. On Your Feet was another one that wasn't great.
Oh,
musically brilliant. Really loved the music. It's the show based on Gloria Estefan's life. Yeah. And she's had an interesting life. Like, she had that awful accident and stuff, but it just wasn't great.
Yeah.
Musically,
it was Parade.
Great. Parade I didn't put on my list, and it's one of my favourite musicals.
You got Parade.
Yeah.
That beautiful Carole King said that.
One of my faves. Very good.
I don't really know it.
Great. But... And shamefully, I wasn't really aware of her music very much until I saw the musical, and then went and listened to Tapestry, which is an absolute record. It's amazing. Here, did you watch Diana the musical?
That's shocking. What is that? What is that?
I think it's getting a London production.
I know. What is that?
Why would you put that on in London?
Why would you put that on?
Full stop. I know. I hear you. We're getting very critical here. We need to be careful.
I know.
Do you know which one? Do you know biographical musical I'm quite interested in? Tammy Faye, isn't that the one that's just been on in Broadway this year and won loads of the...
Yeah, and the film was released a couple of years ago there.
Oh, okay. It is the right one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose another one, Everybody Loves Jamie. It's a biography.
It is?
I can't speak, you know what I mean?
Well, listen, I still am trying to find that word. Coincidence.
Oh, coincidence.
I've just got it. It's not a coincidence.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember why I was trying to find coincidence.
Sure.
It's a bit late now, isn't it? Listen, they've turned off by now.
I know. Yes. Okay. So this is probably the first semi-autobiographical. That's good. Did you get it right, surely?
This is the first
semi-autobiography. I'm going to say that.
Okay.
No.
Semi-autobiographical.
Graphical. But all those other ones are biographical.
Maybe. Google said they were autobiographical, so...
But that person's not writing them. An autobiography is you write it about yourself.
Well, people don't write their own autobiographies. They hire somebody in to write it. Anyway, will we move to any standing ovations that you might have for Tick Tick Boom?
Yeah. Let me see. What did I have? Oh, I also need to discuss the influence that it had on Hamilton. Because time is running out. Hamilton constantly talks about time is running out.
Yeah.
Also in Aaron Burr's song, The Room Where It Happens, at the very end, he says, click, boom. And that is a direct reference to tick, tick, boom.
That's class.
So it is. He mentions it a few times in that song. It's also his reference that he's going to pull the trigger. But it's a click, boom. The way it's done, click, boom, is a definite reference to tick, tick, boom.
I don't think anything that Lin-Manuel Miranda does is by accident. Do you think this has been his plan the whole time? Like, even when he wrote Hamilton, he was going, I want to direct a film of Tick, Tick, Boom.
I'm pretty sure he says that.
The man's a machine.
Yeah. He's so influenced by it. He just thinks it's amazing. But you know the bit at the end of Tick, Tick, Boom where it's a voiceover and it says he went back to a musical he was talking about, and he talks about Rent, which you've already said.
Yeah.
That's like at the end, and Hamilton wrote 39 of the others, you know, where they're talking about like that.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when Eliza goes through everything that she did, like it's all like reference.
It is, isn't it?
So that there, you can see just that time running out and how much like this is my shot. You know, everything is come from how Jonathan felt being a creative, and I suppose that is how you feel whenever you've chosen a career and you want to make it viable.
Well, you're always against the clock, aren't you? Like, even projects you're working on, you've got a time scale to get them done. You know, you have a time scale to get a production up on its feet and running, and then you're running out of time, you know, with money and, you know, before you can get the next job or you write the next thing where you can get a paycheck.
Yeah,
awful.
Everything.
Couldn't do it.
Do you know what we haven't talked about?
Oh.
Angels in America and how it's connected to like Rent. But Andrew Garfield was in a production of Angels in America.
That's right. In the National, wasn't he?
In 2018. And then Lin-Manuel Miranda said he's going to play my...
Is that where he saw him and went, right, he's the man?
And then they had a mutual friend. I think he spoke about this on the Graham Norton show. They had a mutual friend, which was a masseuse. And the masseuse says, yeah, my friend Andrew, he can sing. Yeah, he can sing. Lynn goes out of his appointment. He phones Andrew and says, you better be able to sing because he wants you for his part. So he spent a year learning. And Lynn Miranda says Andrew was amazing at learning how to sing because he had no bad habits.
See?
So we just were able to make him Jonathan.
He was brilliant.
Whenever you look at the footage, and again, that footage on a video camera is reflected in Rent. That's how Jonathan made a lot of his stuff, was the video camera.
And his mannerisms are spot on because there's parts of the film that are shot like that, you know, those YouTube videos that I've seen of the actual Jonathan Larson performing the concert, and it's like spot on. Like, it's amazing when I've seen that a couple of times where the actor has clearly really done their homework and studied the person. Like that Whitney film that came out this year as well. Like that girl, I can't remember the actress's name. That's awful. You should really credit the people if you're going to talk about them. So do apologise. But she clearly watched those like performance videos of her performance at the Grammys, or because her mannerisms were spot on too.
And the same with in Rocketman.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you know,
Taron Egerton.
You can really see Elton John's mannerisms in his performance too.
Actors are amazing, aren't they? They don't get the credit they deserve.
They really are.
My standing ovation is obviously that Sunday sequence because it's so clever. And I also love the therapy song.
Oh, it's fab.
And coming from a choreographer, that in the film they literally sit on two stools, and it's part of like a concert performance, isn't it, of some of John's work. And the choreography they do it's just the two of them. They're like having an argument. Therapy session, and it's like the choreography is so cool, so clever.
Yeah, but it's great in the film as well, where you can see the real life argument happening at the same time as that song is going on. I do like all the songs in it. The song he does write, and I can't remember the name of it, and I haven't written it down. The song that he does write for her is beautiful.
Is that the Lose Your Senses? Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah,
it's really, really lovely.
Yeah, so there we go.
Yeah, it was just nice to kind of look at that as a musical as a whole, to kind of see what it taught, or kind of just pay respect to it.
Yeah, and two episodes in a row talking about someone who, if listeners maybe haven't heard about before, they can maybe go away and...
Yeah, I think that's why we wanted to do them together, so that if you've listened to Rent or you understand Rent, then, and you maybe don't know Tick, Tick, Boom, that you can go and hopefully follow that journey and see how Rent was influenced and how Rent became what it is.
That's it.
Yeah.
Excellent. So there's somebody we've mentioned a couple of times in this podcast today, a particular goat of the musical theatre world.
Yes.
I love that word, goat.
I know. Greatest of all time for those
anyone doesn't know what we're talking
with the kids.
about. And that's Stephen Sondheim, isn't it? So we will maybe have a wee look at one of his, because it is ridiculous of us, Lauren, that we've got to episode 20 and we haven't actually looked at one of Stephen Sondheim's musicals.
Yeah.
Because there's many and they're all, like, I couldn't name you one I don't like.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we'll have a wee look at Mr. Sondheim. Do we give them a clue? Get your dressing up box out.
Uh-huh.
Is that a good enough one?
Yeah, get your dressing up box, yep.
It's a bit random.
There's a lot of characters.
Aye. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
Yeah.
A great setting as well.
And you just keep going.
I'm so sorry. Sorry. Bye.